Garden Express are Australia's leading mail ordering service, offering a wide range of quality gardening products. Each week on the Garden Gurus Live, the team at Garden Express will share a weekly offer. So make sure after today's show, you jump online and visit their website.
Yeah, what's happening?
We're not going on. Oh, well, we are. Hello.
Yeah, Holly did it.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. We have a few little challenges. We have Holly driving the program this morning, and Shaylee is meant to be looking over her shoulder, but as it turns out, Shaylee stepped out, and Holly was pressing lots of buttons, but they worked. And I'm here with you. It's lovely to be with you. I am back in Perth after a fabulous few days in Melbourne. It's been absolutely sensational. Big hello to everybody. Wendy Fox, hello. Keenan Williams, hello. Who else? There's so many of you. Big hello to Val Denton, who's joined us this morning too. That's Holly's mum. So nice to have you with us, Val. Okay, of course, this show is all about answering your gardening questions. And I've got to tell you, there are a lot of really good questions come through over the last few days. As I said, I don't know whether you were watching last night on Channel 9, but we had our 1 hour Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show special. And it was a great show, really interesting insight into what happens in the building of a major flower show like this. This is the biggest flower show in the Southern Hemisphere. And of course, if you're in Victoria, you've got today, tomorrow and Sunday to go and experience it firsthand. If you are not, we're going to find some way to get some people to come over there next year and experience it for yourself, because it's truly remarkable. There are quite literally, probably thousands of people coming together to pull it together. And then I'm going to take a guess and say many, many millions, tens of millions of dollars of investment going into building these spectacular display gardens, and all the effort put in around the outside too. So it's a remarkable show and a really unique experience if you are a garden lover. And certainly there was a lot of people who were garden lovers streaming through yesterday and the day before. So big event. It's got a lot of competition this weekend. There's a Formula One Grand Prix, but I do know a lot of people who are in Melbourne specifically for the show, and it will not disappoint anybody, I can assure you. Now, get your questions into us. This is the important thing. What we want to do is answer all of your questions, but there's a couple of things I need you to do to help me out. One of them is you got to tell me where you are, where you're located. It's really important. If I know where you're located, then I can generally sort of have a greater awareness of what's going on seasonally where you are, weather-wise, and often that will be the trigger to something else that's going on. So let me know where you are, get your questions in, and we'll probably press a little promo in a minute just to show you how to post your photos online as well. Oh, okay, and I've got Shaylee's brought in a glass of water for me and something green in a glass as well. That's an iced matcha. See, I'm getting spoiled rotten. Now, I'm going to have a look through all of your questions and I'll try and answer them progressively. We've got a lot flowing through. Natalie Page. Now, I am not sure where you are from, Natalie. You've got a ghost gum and a banksia tree. They were doing really well, then all of a sudden died. The ghost gum was pretty much overnight, and all our other trees are doing great except for these two. Now, banksias, wouldn't be so surprised with banksias. They can be quite temperamental. But if you happen to be here in Perth, Natalie, we have been through such extreme conditions that I'm seeing mature eucalypts of all different types just turning their toes up and literally, literally dying before your very eyes. Just within, 2 or 3 weeks, a whole tree suddenly die. Now, there is a chance they might come back. It's just they've been through such a terrible shock. But this is this thing about climate change and the extremes of conditions. I can't remember a time in my garden where we had 3 46-degree days, but we did this year. And the impact on plants is significant. Now, my plants are starting to recover. Maybe yours will too. Hopefully that helps. You sort of asked if there's any advice, can they be saved? Maybe you might want to soak the ground around the base of the trees. It won't work, I don't think, with the banksia. I think if the banksia's died, it's gone. Once they turn up their toes, they're gone. Eucalypts can bounce back, but what I would suggest you do is make sure that the soil around the base of the tree is soaked, and I would give it some sea salt. Now, sea salt is very much a plant tonic. It's not a fertilizer. It doesn't have any nutrients in it. You don't want any of the variants of sea salt. You want the original sea salt seaweed extract. What we do know is that does a huge amount of incredible things. Now, I did talk about MIFGS, the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show, and obviously the program we put together that went to air last night. But we've got a clip that we thought we might play for you, and I'll talk through the thing as well. So you can see this is the beginning of the show. It's a beautiful weather. Melbourne's having a lovely run of weather. This is inside the Great Hall. I'm not sure how we're looking here as far as definition goes, but it's a little bit blurry, unfortunately. But look, there was so much activity, as you can see, going on here. But Shaylee, I don't think that this clip's doing it any justice if it's playing out properly. But yeah, you can see this is the build of a garden called Australian Idol, and that was a pretty interesting garden designed by Nadia Cole. She did some amazing work, and this is it from above. You can see our drone footage. This was a highlands, basically a high country garden that she built. That's a hot tub, by the way. That's pretty cool. And very much about the decking, the native plants. You can see the ones that won the awards this year, the big awards, were very much focused on the environment and environmental native plants. So it was interesting. That was a silver guild medal winner, I think, off the top of my head. You can see this vision of it. It's just beautiful. And there's outdoor shower there. Great use of organic materials. This is our friend Peter Donegan. Peter created a garden called A Moment in Time, and you can see there's a plane flying over. His theme behind this was that of a returned serviceman, somebody who's coming back from having served his country, and he's never going to be the same. And he's basically looking down at what was once, and is now looking at what how the rest of his life is going to pan out. And it's a real concern because the levels of depression with returned servicemen, levels of suicide are through the roof, unfortunately. There's far more trauma for people coming back and trying to integrate back into society. So Peter was trying to raise that awareness as a consequence of this garden. And the work that he put on inside the hut was just incredible. This garden here blew me away. This guy is an absolute legend, Christian. He's been going to MIFGS for as long as I've been going to MIFGS, Christian Jenkins. He is a great landscaper. I think he won Best in Show last year, actually. This year, he only got a silver medal. I was shocked. That grass tree on the right-hand side, you can see as we're creeping in here, multi-branch grass trees, 1,000 years old. 1,000 years old. It's just crazy. The pool, this is all about creating a lifestyle, and this is what he's done here. And I think he's done it really well. Absolutely loved it. This particular one is another garden. Now, this guy's actually won the gold medal, and well deserved too. So this is Phil Withers and Fiona Brockhoff co-designed with Phil, and they put together this garden, and it was basically from the coast to the bush. It's called Salt Bush, and they used a lot of organic sort of structures and materials, stone and gravels and native plants. And from the beginning at the front is the plants that you find right on the beach. And as you moved deeper into the garden, the plantings and the types of plants used changed as it went along. It was really quite an interesting garden. And I can tell you that the hive of activity, these guys are still finishing at this point here, hive of activity on trying to get that finalised was amazing. There was, I don't know, 20 or 30 people running around like crazy with 20 minutes to go trying to finish it off. So you can see that's a beautiful garden. And then we had an entry from two Sydney-based these days, Swedish designers, and they did a great job. This was a very interesting garden, totally different, very Nordic, and unashamedly so. They used a lot of sort of those light timbers that you'd expect to see there. This was a bit different. I'm not sure how I personally felt about it, but that's kind of the beauty about these shows, is every garden is going to evoke different feelings for people as they go through. This one was, a very different style of garden, and I think I'm a bit old-fashioned. I never realised it until I really had all my money on Christian Jenkins to take out the best in show, and sadly the judges only gave him a silver, which I felt was pretty harsh because his plant selection was very different. His design was spectacular. This one here you can see is also equally spectacular, and this is the garden that actually won the best in show. And it's a really quite interesting garden. I think a little surprised. It was very much focused on ecology, and I was a little bit surprised that it took all the awards out. Not surprised it got a gold, but well deserved. I mean, the people here have put in phenomenal effort. All of these gardens are built up off the ground, and I think our video is finished, but they're all built on top of the ground. The ground cannot be damaged at all. So for those of you who couldn't make the show, hopefully we gave you a little bit of insight there. Hopefully you saw the show last night on Channel 9. And if you didn't, the good news is you can watch it whenever you want to watch it on 9 Now. That's the other opportunity for you. All right. I think I hope you enjoyed that. I think I'll get us moving straight into some questions, and then we'll go to a Garden Express offer that we've got coming up. Lee West, hello, you're in Bunbury, which is in the southwest of Western Australia. When is the best time to top dress lawn? Okay, yeah, it's okay. Holly's dyslexia has just kicked in with a bit of spelling, but I worked out what it was. Thank you, Leah. So the best time to top dress, it's either going to be literally this weekend, and you can do it one of two ways. A lot of people top dress their lawns with sand. If you want to get levels right, sand is the perfect way to go. If you're trying to improve the soil health and the lawn health, top dressing with a very fine layer of organic, fine sieved compost really does the world of good for the health of the lawn, and particularly if it's got a bit of thatch in there, it'll break it all down, turn it into nutrient, and get the lawn growing really strongly. So that's something you could do. Let's stay with another Leah. Leah Verrill, hello. You're in Queensland, in Brisbane. I've got some baby Alternanthera in a ground cover around a mature bush. Can I dig them up and put them in pots now? The answer is yes, you definitely can. It's a good time of the year to be transplanting anything up. So if you've got little babies around, dig them up, pop them into little pots, give them a few weeks, maybe 2 to 3 months in those pots. And when the roots are on the side of the pots, if you want to start planting them out, go for it. Alok Shah, hello, thanks for joining us, Alok. I was watching your show last night, and there was a shrub kind of looking plant which won the Plant of the Year award. Could not catch the name. I don't think it won the Plant of the Year because the Plant of the Year is just being launched. But here's the good news. that particular plant, I'm pretty sure it was the one that Bonnie showed you, and it's a brand new type of Nandina, which used to be known as the Japanese sacred bamboo, but there's so many different forms, and this is a lemon lime foliage form that won, I think, a gold medal in London, and it's been introduced into Australia. It's been entered into the competition, and later this year they will judge who the winner is as an industry, and that will be shown at MIFGS next year. So hopefully that helps. Just need to have a look. Yes, okay. Amy McAloney. Hello, Amy. I'm not sure where you're from. Asked a few weeks ago about propagating succulents. The kids at work love looking after their plants and are growing some roots. That's great. That's awesome news. And literally that was I do remember this question, and it's where you pop the leaf into the ground and very quickly the succulents will start dropping roots down through the base. It's pretty good. So Amy, hopefully that helps you. Jeannie. Hello, Jeannie. You're in Beachboro in WA. When is the best time to plant garlic? It's about now, right now. In fact, I think on this weekend's program, Nev gives a few tips, or is it next weekend's? I think it's next weekend's. Nev gives you some tips on how to grow garlic, and it's very easy. But one of the tricks I'm going to tell you is that when you buy your garlic cloves, all of the little garlic that sits inside it, and you start breaking them off individually, just make sure they originate from Australia. Now, the reason I say that is garlic is, one, bleached when it's brought in from overseas to kill off fungal spores and bacteria, but it is also dipped in in what they call in an it's with a anti-growth hormone. I'm trying to think of the right word for you, but basically it's dipped in something that stops it from regrowing. So you never get a great result. They do still try to grow, but they're very spindly and weak, and they never look good. The one thing that you should use when you're putting, as far as fertilizer goes, when you're putting them into the ground, is something called potato E or potato D manure. It encourages really good root growth and bulb development. So, Jeannie, now's the time to do it. And I'll be doing it in my garden, I think, this weekend myself. I'm really looking forward to spending a bit of time doing that. Chrissy at Henry's, hello. Curly grubs, can I have some info on them? I think you've got curl grubs. I was planting some potted colour and found them in the soil, and they're quite common in the soil. Now, curl grub in big quantities can eat roots of lawns and definitely seedlings and kill them off quite quickly. But in small quantities, if you're digging and every square foot you're finding 4 or 5, you have a problem and you need to treat it. And there are a number of things that you can treat them with. However, I've got to say to you that you need to be you really do need to be very careful with application of chemicals that drench the ground. I'm not a big fan of them because they indiscriminately kill everything, including all the good things that you have in there. So if you want to encourage some magpies into the garden, they're probably the best ones to control curl grub. Hopefully that helps. Rani, you're in Melbourne in the southeastern suburbs. Thank you. I just bought 2 apple trees, a Red Delicious and a Granny Smith. How will they go with them being grown in large pots? It depends. If they're grown on a dwarfing rootstock, they'll do very well. If they're just on a normal rootstock, they'll still be contained by the pot. And as long as the root is contained, it's kind of like bonsai. As long as the root's contained, you'll find that the trees will still remain at a compact size and shape. So either way, you're going to be fine, Rani. You won't go wrong. 2 good ones. One little tip I'll share with you. This is very important for all the ladies that are tuned in. It's a great body of research done by Royal Perth Hospital. I think we've talked about it previously on this show a few years back. 10,000 women over 10 years. Every day, half of them ate green apples, half of them ate red apples. The biggest killer of women in Australia is hypertension, and it's got nothing to do with their husbands. And apparently the thing was the red apple reduced hypertension and the risk of diseases and afflictions such as stroke by about 80%, just simply through eating 1 red apple a day. Now, the ones with the green apple didn't get the same result. Can't tell you why. I'm sure that will come out with time. What's very obvious, of course, is that the red colour and the skin of the apple is the vitally important thing. That is full of phytochemicals that are really beneficial to your health, antioxidants, all of these things that are so good. So ladies, please, every week, if nobody else in the house eats apples, buy 7 apples for yourself at least. Just look after yourself, and eating well is a good way to go. Matt in Melbourne, thanks very much for your comments. Love this. The great feature on the Melbourne Garden Show last night. It was a spectacular show. Great program. We've tried and failed with growing lime trees. Oh, Matt, when's the best time to plant them out from pots into the ground? About now. So between now and third week or fourth week of May, almost the whole month of May, is the best time to be planting citrus. Okay, so if you're going to have a shot with limes, if you're in Melbourne, I'm going to tell you that the best one, if you want good results, is Tahitian lime. There's so many great examples of that. Now, I think we'll go. We've got a comment from Annie, and then we'll go to the Garden Express thing. Annie Micheladis, I hope I got that right, Annie. You helped me out last time, which was so good. Thank you. She's such a lovely person, and such a keen gardener. Good morning, Trevor and Guru's team, everyone watching. A lovely cooler weather in Perth to get out in the garden, and it is, thanks for that comment. It's absolutely magnificent autumn weather, and it was in Melbourne too. The weather was magnificent. This is a great weekend to get out and enjoy the garden. Now, here is our Garden Express offer for the week. You're going to love this.
Flemings are renowned for introducing new and improved varieties for many of our favourite garden plants. Well, it now includes the Cercis Merlot. Absolutely stunning purple foliage, and this is a great tree for Australian conditions. Why? It's heat tolerant and it's drought tolerant. Now, this tree is compact, it's dense, it's upright, and it is deciduous, and it will grow to about 3 to 4 metres high and wide, which makes it a perfect tree for many spaces. And guess what? You can now get it at home for you.
Cercis Merlot and Cercis Fairy Queen were introduced by Fleming's Nursery, and they're now available from Garden Express. They're in 200mm pots and ready to go into your garden right now. Normally you'd pay $59.90, but for Garden Guru viewers only, they're just $49.90. That's a saving of 15%.
Now, thanks to Garden Express, you can get your very own Cercis Merlot delivered to your door, 24/7 shopping on gardenexpress.com.au. Now, there are limited stocks, so please do get in quickly.
Okay, I've just set a last-minute challenge for Holly and Shaylee, so they're scrambling to try and help me out with what I want to show you. Obviously, Cercis Merlot and Fairy Queen, both beautiful plants. They're beautiful small trees, and if you live in a property with not a lot of room, but you do want a nice small tree that's going to give you a bit of shade and protect the plants, then they are a sensational deal. When you take a look at this, normally $59.90, only $49.90. It's a saving 20%. That's pretty darn good. If you want a lovely small tree, I know the stocks will not last, so that's going to be a really, really fast-selling plant. The colour of the foliage, that Merlot colour, is just to die for. And remember, Garden Express, you know, whilst you're online checking it out, they sell everything that you can think of. And of course, the great thing about them is you can shop whenever you want to shop, 24/7, and of course they deliver direct to your door. How good's that? That's pretty good. Now, how about, are we ready, do you think, or do we leave it 2 minutes? Okay, well, I'm going to answer some questions for you. Tehani Gorda, hello, you're in Perth. Good morning. I have the new black white limestone. Okay, looks nice. It's obviously a wall because my neighbours have built it. Okay. Oh, so they built it. I get you benefited from the neighbour. I love it. What can I plant that won't fry as it gets sun all day? I'm in Perth, close to the coast. Okay, Tahani, really good question. There's a couple of things you need to be aware of. Okay, the great thing about limestone is it's very porous, so it stays a lot cooler than things like solid bricks or any of the rock walls and so on. It won't absorb and hold the heat as much. At the same time, a lot of the traditional plants that we tend to cover these kinds of walls with won't grow on them. Things like the Chinese star jasmine is a really good example. The reason it won't grow it is because the soil at the base of that wall is going to be alkaline. So you need to think about plants that would grow in that environment. And there's one called the Hardenbergia, the old-fashioned forms, probably these days called Happy Wanderer, but there's some great range of different colours. They're also known as the native wisteria. They have like a little wisteria bract, if you like, flowers. In fact, to be honest, they can be that long, but beautiful little fine pea flowers all the way down. It's a lovely plant, very hardy, very easy to grow, and I think I would suggest that you think about something like that, or if you're thinking exotic, something that's come from another part of the world, where it's growing on the coast. So a bit of advice there. All right, now speaking of the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show, one of the plants that I finally got to see, I'd been told about it, but I hadn't seen it for myself in person, but it's a beautiful lavender, a brand new release. Our friends at Bloomin Orange introduced it to Australia. It's a worldwide hit already, but it's new to us. And our friends at Garden Express, Rowan and the team, Chloe and the team, decided that they would take it on and really create something out of the blue to support a very important charity. And we did this story. I want to share it with you.
There are some beautiful new plants being released here at the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show this year, and this is one I just show you. It's just known as La Diva out of the blue. It was bred by the superior genetics of a breeding company in Holland called Bloomin Orange. They do some amazing work. What they've done is they bred this to be nice and compact, disease resistant, super hardy, and even better than that, extremely prolific with its flowers, which means you have a gorgeous garden plant. Lavenders come in a range of sizes, shapes and colours and should be planted in full sun and free-draining soils. La Diva is brilliant in pots and grows well everywhere from the bush to the coast. The flowers are exquisite, but it's not just its beauty you might find appealing. It's helping a very important cause. Luke, Beyond Blue does some pretty incredible work within our community, very important services. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Beyond Blue is really here to help people achieve their best possible mental health. And what we're really focused on at the moment is helping people as early as possible. Because we know often people wait a long time to seek help or they don't get any support at all. So Beyond Blue is here with our support service and our programs to really help all Australians reach out at the earliest possible stage. And our counsellors and our online tools are there to help them take that first step and really get things back on track.
So with every lavender sold, there's going to be $1 donated to Beyond Blue. That's obviously going to assist in supporting with those services?
Yeah, so that every donation to Beyond Blue funds our support service. So we have 300,000 contacts a year to our support service. That's over 1,000 a day. So anywhere in Australia, if someone's doing it tough, they can contact us and get the support that they need. So these donations are incredibly, incredibly valuable.
To get your hands on this stunning new lavender, visit the show or Garden Express, who can deliver it direct to your door.
All right, well, here we go. We've come back. That's an interesting story, that one. I just felt that this was something I really wanted to share with you. Beyond Blue is such an important charity. The work that they do is quite remarkable, and they've helped so many people, and I think we've all been touched by the loss of loved ones, sometimes unfortunately people who are also very afflicted by depression, and this is the work that these guys do to try and help people. So when Garden Express came up with this idea, working alongside the guys at Bloomin Orange, I was so keen to support them in any way we can. So we will be pushing this message continuously over the next 3 to 6 months. By buying one of these plants off Garden Express, you'll not only get a beautiful garden plant, and they are beautiful as you could see, but more importantly, you're going to end up helping this charity with the amazing service they do. I think it was 300,000 people they're touching every year. It's crazy. It's good work. So hey, if you can, do me a favour, jump online to Garden Express. That's another offer that's sitting on there. Now, back to your question. Sally, in the Swan Valley in WA, it's been very hot at different times during the summer in the Swan Valley. Now, Sally's going, I've got a weedy wattle that has been planted and gone gangbusters nearly 2 years ago now, but has yet to flower. Is there a reason why? Yeah, it's probably just waiting for bit of maturity, and once they kind of reach their full size, that's when they do their thing. Not sure exactly what a weedy wattle is, but anyway, it'll be a native wattle, one of our acacias, and I'm sure once it's got to a certain size, the trick with them, of course, is the first couple of years, keep the water up to them so that they can get established. But after that, you turn it off. You want them to stress during the summer months, because that's what triggers the flowering as you go into the spring and winter. So it's them wanting to reproduce to make sure they continue the species on. That's very important, and often this occurs with very many of the plants that we actually that we work with. Now, I keep moving on because there's a lot of good questions coming through here. Charmaine Howarth, you're in southern Tasmania. You sent us some photos. Thank you so much. After some advice regarding moving well-established rhododendron trees. I have plans approved to renovate, extend, and my 2 trees are in the path. You can see they're right on the edge of the house there. So can you move them? Look, the answer is yes, you can. The best time to do it is going to be in the middle of winter when it's really cold and wet, and they're moving about as slowly with their metabolism as they possibly can. Then you want to get as much of the root system as you can. And when you move them, you dig the hole around the roots, and you get a big tarpaulin underneath them, and you pull the tarpaulin up and you tie it around the base of the tree, and then you pick the plants up and you move them. Now, what you're trying to do here is to not damage or lose any of that soil that's in around the roots. It's vitally important you keep it packed in around those roots as you're moving it. And then when it gets into its new home, it goes into the soil. Make sure you've got some really good soil around the outside. Take the tarpaulin away, water it at the same time using some sea salt. It'll do the world of good. It does help with that transplant shock. And at that moment in time, what you will have is a very strong, healthy plant. So it should grow away. You should be fine. But yes, you can. So give it a go. Carol Bush. Hello, Carol. You're in Riverton in WA. Can I start to put sweet peas in now? Yes. So April is the month really for us in the West. You could be doing it now in Victoria without any problem at all. Okay, Susan Robinson's asked, who was the battery-operated pruning tool that Bonnie showcased last night? It was super cool, wasn't it? It was fantastic. It's from the guys at Stanley Black & Decker, and it's called FatMax. And FatMax you will find in your local Mitre 10 stores. Very, very interesting gear-driven pruner. We really rushed this show last night that you saw, and there's some key points that I think we could do better that we should share with you. What I wanted to demonstrate, and I think Bonnie tried to do it, but we just didn't quite get the message across, is as we get older, pruning can be quite taxing on the hands. In fact, anybody who's got any kind of osteoarthritis or any of those kinds of problems, any kind of inflammation-based diseases, you don't like pruning too much because your hands ache afterwards. In fact, your wrists, your arms, even your shoulders, as a consequence of that movement. And that's where this new technology comes in. So it's battery operated. It was quite a light device, and you just press the button and it cuts through clean. I don't know whether you saw that, but a fantastic product. It's called FatMax. There's a couple. There was a drill as well, an auger. Brilliant for planting, absolutely brilliant for planting. Both of those are battery operated, make gardening so much easier, and that's what we were trying to show you last night. You will find them in your local Mitre 10 store or check them out online. FatMax. All right, Catherine Rivette, hello. Catherine, let's have a look. We're having issues with constant radiator pine needles, not green, and blue gum leaves falling onto a large garden bed, mulched with sugarcane mulch. Impossible to remove the leaves without removing lots of compost. Will they do harm? Trees are huge and not on your property. You live in Bathurst. Now, the only issue I can see with pine needles is that they are acidic. So they are going to acidify the soil, but they are an organic material as well. So they're going to improve the soil's quality. The opportunity for you, and in Bathurst I think you could do this quite well, is to grow acidic soil-loving plants. So azaleas, blueberries, rhododendrons, camellias. If you love any of those kinds of plants, they will do really well in that sort of garden bed. A lot of the ferns are quite comfortable in that environment as well. So it's not really a problem. It's actually probably an asset for you, but you have to choose the right plants to go in there. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, Christine McCormick, hello, you're in the Perth Hills, north of the river. You've got a lemon tree and a blood orange. They're in large pots. In the last couple of weeks, leaves have turned yellow and both plants are looking very unhealthy. How can I fix it? And they're in pots and fenced off due to kangaroos. Not looking to plant them in the ground just yet. Okay, it sounds to me like they're hungry. Right now is when you should be feeding your citrus. They've got fruit on, starting to grow. Give them a good feed, Christine. If they've sort of started to turn yellow, they're telling you that they're really hungry. If they roll their leaves up, they're hungry for a bunch of the greening nutrients. If they roll their leaves down, they're missing some of the really essential trace elements. But regardless, either way, they're hungry, so give them a good feed. Pam Collins, on behalf of her daughter, you're in Hillary's, we're getting a few from WA today. Your daughter's got 5 green dodonias. It's a beautiful shrub. They've got about 2 meters tall. They've got black lumps on the stem. When you squish the lumps, they're bright red inside, and the stems are now covered in a black dust. How can she fix this? Right. This is a good question. I don't think we've got the right photograph. I could be wrong, but anyway, the thing with them is the dodonias, they're definitely a lot bigger than 2 meters tall is what I'm looking at. But the interesting thing about the lumps are their scale, and it's an insect. And what you're going to have to do is spray the trees with white oil or eco oil, one of those horticultural oils, and soak them. Really soak the stems. What's going to happen is there's going to be ants, and you'll find there's a lot of ants around the base of those trees. Around the base of the trees, to get the ants to move on and stop farming the scale, they live in what they call a symbiotic relationship. So the ants are literally being fed by the scale. The scale emits this sucrosy substance called honeydew, and the ants get that all over them as they're eating, and they take a lot of it back to the nest and feed the rest of the ants. But as they're doing it, the sticky sweet substance is also sticking to the leaves and to the stems of the plant. And there is a what they call a saprophytic fungus. So it really either feeds off dead material or it doesn't do any harm to the actual plant. It's not eating the plant. But this fungus will slowly spread, and it's called black mildew. No, yes, it'll come to me. Yes, sooty mold. Sorry, and that sooty mold spreads over, and when it spreads over the leaves, it can cause a problem because it stops the leaves from being able to photosynthesize. It covers the green part of the leaf, and that stops them from being able to produce food. Then you'll start to see the tree dropping leaves and looking really unhappy. Now, it's all a situation caused by the scale, and then the ants farming them. Stop the ants from going up by using the talcum powder around the base, and then spray all of the tree. Literally got to soak all underneath the leaves and everything else. And it's going to get rid of them, but you need to actually give them a really good soaking, and it's got to be with white oil or eco oil or one of the natural pest oils. Okay, Andy, you sent us some photos. Let's have a look. I reckon these could be Andy's photos, actually. Could somebody diagnose the disease that my ornamental pear has? Your ornamental pear doesn't look like it's got a disease. It looks like it's incredibly stressed. It looks like it's dry stressed, and the environment around the outside looks dry stressed as well. It's not getting enough water, Andy, and it's been a pretty hot, dry summer. That's definitely just heat scorch. So get some mulch around the base of the tree. That'll cool the soil down a little bit. The roots are near the surface, and give it a feed. Won't hurt at the moment to try and stimulate a little bit of growth, a bit of recovery. So a controlled release fertilizer is the way I would go, or you could use an organic manure, a well composted cow manure, for example, around the base as well. It's going to improve the soil a little bit. But number one thing is get moisture into the soil. So whether you need to put a wetting agent in there just to make sure water is penetrating evenly, I'm not sure. But you do need to make sure that soil is very, very soaked, and it's definitely a burn. So hopefully that helps. Comment from Rick Nielsen in Brisbane. Hello, a friend of mine has been eating grapefruit at least once a day and swears his blood pressure has reduced naturally. And there is a story with that. And I think your friend might be right. So they do say that the acidity can be a very good thing. So I don't know whether you've seen, there's a big push at the moment on apple cider vinegar, encouraging people to have half a glass or half a cup of apple cider vinegar per day because it helps you lose weight. And it's a proven scientific fact. It does. Why? I'm not 100% sure, but these sorts of things do seem to happen. And it's one shot of apple cider vinegar. Apparently, Shaylee has it every day. Mark, this is a good one. Skisi? Oh, I hope I got that right. Sorry, Mark. You're from Mudgee. Got lots of lamb ears. That's that beautiful little furry silvery leaf stackies, it's called. Byzantina, this is the variety that you're talking about. It's dying back in various parts of the garden. Any ideas? Yeah, it's doing it because of extreme conditions at the moment. It just doesn't like it too dry. It stresses it. As we move into winter, they should start to recover. You can reduce the decline immediately by giving them a shot with some wetting agent. And again, I'll go back to what I talk about. I always talk about the sea salt's a very good thing for helping soil improve its health. There is a sea salt wetting agent that you can get, so you get the benefit of seaweed and the wetting agent. It does a two-action thing that seems to work really, really well. All right, so from New South Wales back to Western Australia to Northern, which is just out on the edge of the wheat belt. It's can be quite a hot, dry place during summer. If you've got water, it's one of the best places to grow plants. It's got a great soil out there. Hi, Trevor. This is Sharon. Trevor, we've got a dragon fruit, or are they good to grow in plastic pots? How big does the pot need to be? And how many can I put in the pot? Well, to be honest, dragon fruit, one single dragon fruit can be quite a big plant, a huge plant. So my recommendation is not to grow them in pots unless you have huge pots. And we're talking, probably at least a metre and a half wide. So there's not too many pots you're going to get that big. And if you do get them that big and you do have all that soil in there, yes, you will grow a big plant, and you still only want one plant per pot. I've seen some things done with them where they'll put in 3 cuttings, put a pole in the middle, 3 cuttings are on the outside, and then they'll wrap as the plant grows, the cuttings as they're growing up, and lace them around the outside of the pole. You can do something like that, but yeah. Anyway, there's a few ideas there. And Devlarez, I think I got that right, Anne. Hello. Oh, thanks for joining us. I'm just looking. You are from Perth. Okay, this is great. I salvaged some herbaceous peony corms from a clearance sale at a garden centre. Well done. Don't have previous experience with planting peonies and have read the instructions on the packets. All the corms seem dehydrated and I've soaked them in water overnight. Good move. That's a great idea. Could you advise the usual way to plant out corms and suggest how to save these ones? So, and get yourself something called David Gray's potato manure. It'll be really very important in getting them to grow. And a handful of that mixed into the soil when you plant them is really important. Where you plant them is very important here in Australia and pretty much in every state, with the exception maybe of Victoria and Tasmania. You want them to be on the southern side of the house and not too far off the house, because you want them to be protected with shade pretty much all the time and protected from winds as a general comment as well. They do require good soil, and it will take them a few years to build up before you start seeing those peony flowers. One thing you can't let them do is dry out, so the soil's got to be a good, rich, healthy soil. Okay, how are we going here? We're at 9:51. We started a little bit late, so get your questions in. Happy to answer them for you. Let's have a look. Priscilla, hello. How are you going? This is Precious. Here's another issue I'm having with my guava tree. Can you please tell me what it is and what is the best treatment? Thank you. That is scale. So we're looking at brown scale, and you can see it there. See how it's strategically placed in different positions? That's being done by ants. Now that again is, you can see you've got scale. That's actually a citrus scale on that, the juvenile small ones. Now is the time to treat it. So you've got to use white oil or pest oil or eco oil or one of those horticultural oils, and you've got to drench the fruit, the stems, the leaves in this particular instance. And what it does is it smothers over the top of those little flat scales and it suffocates them. It's all it does. It doesn't poison them in any way, and it's not a poison, but it really does get rid of them. And now's the time to do it, because you're actually going to see, as we move into this cooler weather, they're going to be producing offspring. You'll see more ants because they'll be moving them around further around the plant because they're farming them. And if you leave them on, unfortunately, you're going to lose leaves. You're going to have deformed fruit, and you're not going to be very happy with the outcome, and the plant's not going to be happy. So you do have to treat it. Priscilla, hopefully that helped you there. Now, I was just going to say, guys, do you think we could put up the clip on how to post a photo? And that way, like Priscilla did, it really does help me when I'm answering your questions. Have you got a gardening question you'd like us to answer and you need to send us a photo? Well, simply head to our Facebook page and click on message.
Type out your question and click the camera icon to take a photo in the app. Or click the image option and select the image you want to send us. Be sure to allow Facebook access to your camera and camera roll. We check our messages regularly, so sit back and be sure to tune in to the Garden Guru's Facebook Live show every Friday, and you'll hear your answer.
Send me your photos. I'd love to see your garden, love to see your plants, and if you've got a problem, it does help me solve it as well. Now, Jeanette Miller has been a big supporter of ours over the years. She's in Pingelly in WA, and always supports and is very, very kind with some great questions and nice comments. Thank you for joining us this morning, Jeanette. Now, you've asked, when is the best time to cut back plum trees? And can I give them a good cut back, or will they die? If you're going to cut them back right now, this weekend, you don't want to leave it. By the time you get to the middle of April, it's too late. So what you want to do is cut them back, encourage a little bit of growth out, and then they'll harden up over the winter. You'll still get a nice crop come springtime if they're a mature tree. But if you want to wait, the second time to do it, of course, is actually in the middle of winter. And that's when we would have traditionally sort of pruned our trees. But late summer has become a bit of a standard practice these days. And certainly with plums, it's now or it's wait till winter. Hopefully that helps, Jeanette. Catherine Rivette, hello. Thanks for the advice on the pine needles, not a problem. What about the gum leaves? Gum leaves, a lot of people get kind of concerned about gum leaves, or they're rich in oils and they're harder to compost, and they are harder to compost. They take longer, but that's actually what's been building the soils up here in Australia for, millions of years, really. And it's a great source of carbon and nutrient for plants and for microbes. So the gum, they're fine. What you could do though, and what could balance out the pH a little bit, is you can use something like, and the best of all the manures for this is probably chicken, but you can use some manure that's alkaline. So sheep tends to be alkaline. Chicken is very alkaline. And what you do is you get a nice thick layer, wait until you've got lots of it, put a nice big thick layer, and then put a couple of bags of chicken manure over the top. Chicken manure will break down that organic matter, the leaves, the gum leaves and the pine needles, and just enrich the soil, but it also balance the pH issue out so it's not so acidic. It's a little trick, a little bit of garden soil chemistry, I suppose. Okay, let's have a look. Lachlan Stewart, hello. You're in Tamworth, great part of the world. My mulberry is about 30 years old. Let's have a look. And it hasn't had a good trim. Is it too early to give it a haircut right now? You know what I'd do, mate? I would wait until winter with the mulberries. Look, you can prune them pretty much all year round. It just depends on the variety. A 30-year-old one, I'd suggest it's probably a black English, one of those big black ones. They are probably ones that I would wait till you get to the winter time. If you've got one of the Indian mulberries, the chartreuse, the white or the reds, you can prune them now. So just a a bit of a difference in the way you treat the different types. I keep forgetting, we're of course broadcasting straight through YouTube as well, and we are getting comments coming through. Rick Nielsen, I'm following a great bonsai channel. He's dug up his garden rhododendrons and put them into bonsai pots. Really cool idea, and I've seen it done in South Korea. There's one of the most beautiful gardens in the world I've ever been to, is in a place called Jeju Island. It's called the Spirit Garden, and it was created by this amazing Korean man who is just the nicest person, and he is the biggest bonsai or bunjai collection is what they call it in Korean, in the world. It is just spectacular. World leaders travel there to go and experience this garden. What he's done is truly remarkable. He has all these mature rhododendrons in large trays. I mean, they're still, they're that deep and they're that wide. And then it's got this magnificent, 500 or 600 year old rhododendron sitting in it. It's just incredible. So you're right. That's a really good example of where, you can also dig rhododendrons out, and just got to be careful with the roots. They can be a little bit on the sensitive side, particularly if you're in sort of sandier soils. If you're in heavier soils, not so bad. Gabby Weaver, hello. Is a half barrel, 100 litres, big enough for dragon fruit? Half barrel's probably going to be okay. Gabby, I would say that. I think you'd be fine with a half, yeah. Maybe a little bit bigger would be ideal, but look, for the first few years, a half wine barrel will be fine. Jeanette Luscombe, hello. You're in Mansfield in Victoria. How do you get rid of wireweed? Fortunately, you have to spot spray it out. It's not it's not like you can put a selective herbicide over that, unless you've got a big paddock and you're going in early. It's just got to be spot sprayed out, I'm afraid, Jeanette. And it's not the one you want to hear about, but the best treatment for it, as far as I'm concerned anyway, is glyphosate. So yeah, Roundup. See how you go. Vinette Ainsberg, hello Vinette. You join us all the time. You're in Bella Jura. I know you're over here in the west. When's the best time to prune geraniums and pelargoniums, please? And how hard can you prune them? You can prune them pretty hard. You want to leave some foliage on the plant, is my general rule for you. But what I would say to you, Vinette, is now's the best time. The next 2 months is the time to get out and prune your garden and get it into shape. Hopefully that helps. Mel Morrow, hello Mel. Looking for some advice on pruning a 30-year-old lemon tree, central coast of New South Wales. Now, as the trees get older, you do have to be careful. My granddad lived on a farm. He had this 80-year-old or 60-year-old lemon tree, and when they came off the farm, I went and I dug the lemon tree up and moved it to my house, my very first house that I had. It transplanted pretty well, but over the years afterwards, it required regular pruning. So small amounts on a regular basis was far better for it than cutting it back hard, because that root system takes years and years to develop. And when you break it and take something out of the ground, you tend to set them back. So just need to be a little bit, a little bit cautious probably with the pruning as they get older. Just be a little bit more gentle. That's what I keep telling my my barber. All right, we've been talking continuously. Some great questions coming through, and I've got to mention, of course, best question for the day is up for a $50 gift voucher from our friends at Garden Express. Big thanks to them. Okay, do I have a favourite question is what Shaylee's going to ask me, and I'm going to say to you, I think maybe Mel Morrow might be the one that actually come up with it, because pruning older trees needs to be done a little bit more sympathetically, and making people aware that, particularly with fruiting trees, that pruning is still important, but not too hard. So try and be a little bit gentle. It's one of those things. So Mel, congratulations. You're our winner of the $50 gift voucher for today. A great series of questions again today. Shaylee wanted to say she's a little bit sorry because she's a bit late in sending the gift vouchers through. She's a bit behind at the moment. I've had a really busy. She was absolutely integral to this beautiful 1 hour special that we've just produced. She flew across to Melbourne with the team and was running between 2 camera crews and an edit suite, and she was super busy and she didn't have time to get everything out. So forgive us, we will get them out to you. Now, let me just think, what else do I need to tell you about? Well, we've got the Garden Gurus this weekend, our standard weekly show. You'll find it. It is on Saturday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. Of course, next week we will be back. If we missed your questions this week, the good news is I'll make sure we collate them all and we answer them next week. And Holly's going to make sure she makes a note of all of them and does that for us. So I will answer your questions if we missed you this week, next week. And of course, don't forget during the week, as you're walking around the garden, if you're looking at things, take a photograph, send us the photograph with your question and I will answer it for you. And we will tune in next Thursday, because next Friday is Good Friday, isn't it? Yes. So we'll aim to come back next Thursday. We'll update you on Facebook just prior, because the change in timing, there may be some sort of other impacts. We may or may not be able to do it. If you want to catch up with anything else gardening in the next couple of weeks, and with Easter coming up as well, we spend a lot of our time in gardening out there in the garden. Information, where's the best place to get it? thegardengurus.tv. Our website is a terrific resource. So much information. Of course, if you want to watch any of the stories or any of the programs that we've done before, don't forget our YouTube channel, thegardengurus.tv. It's always a really handy one. Big thanks to everybody for tuning in. Jeff and Rita Mapstone, our great friends out at the Kalamunda Garden Festival who always tune in. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your support. Thank you so much for watching the show last night. We were absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity. Channel 9 were very generous in giving us a prime time spot. And we hope you enjoyed the convenience of that and the insight into the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show, which finishes this Sunday. So make sure you get in if you are a local to enjoy it. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Trevor Cochrane. Big thanks to Holly, who had a first go at driving the ship today. She's got the L plates up, but she's doing super well. And Shaylee, who after she had a bit of a dose of caffeine was on fire. So thanks to the team here. We'll see you all next week. I'm Trevor Cochrane. See you then.